Welcome to Extraterrestrial Reality. What we're watching here on the screen right now is some of the most spectacular UFO footage of all time. Of course, it's a segment taken from the many videos taken over the Sea of Marmara in 2007, 2008, and 2009 by a Turkish gentleman named Yalcin Yalman. And this, of course, is we're talking about here is the Turkey UFO videos. One thing that gets lost in the shuffle because a lot of us talk about the beings that are seen in the craft is the fact that this is probably the most spectacular footage of UFOs ever. I mean, forget about the occupants for a second and just look at what he was able to capture hanging out over the sea for whatever reason. These craft were showing up uh, during the course of many nights over the course of three different years. Right now, we're looking at a video from 2008 as we talk about this of a craft, and you can see actual beings. Looks like they're inside of. There's an open hatch or something on the top of this thing, and you see little heads inside there. They are the beings. We talk about this a lot on this channel about what the beings are, what they look like. They look like alien creatures. There are a lot of different still images that have been extracted from these series of videos over the years, and we see what plainly is not human, but humanoid in stature, but most certainly alien in description. I mean, we see basically come to life the descriptions made by people who have encountered aliens face to face. This is what they look like when we see them. Now, right now, we see a craft. There is no open hatch on this. Now, this is from one specific video from a Turkey UFO channel that was set up some years ago. This was part one. I'm only going to be focusing today on this part one. I will leave a link to the video that we're talking about in the description so you can check it out for yourself on that channel. Here's another crescent-shaped UFO that we see hovering in the sky. These videos are astounding. And you know, the other thing that people seem to forget when it comes to these videos is the fact that it wasn't just one guy who filmed all of this over the course of these years. There were witnesses, including the late Dr. Roger Lear. He talked about this. He actually was there on more than one occasion. He was there while some of this stuff was being filmed. And what he categorized this during an interview he had on Coast to Coast a long time ago, before his death. I guess it was around 2013, 2014. He told Art Bell that this has got to be the finest footage that was ever taken of a UFO. Not only that, but it shows the occupants. You can't get any better than that, folks. I mean, here, this is that one case where we get to see not only the craft in incredible footage. I mean, we get to see detail of the craft. This, a lot of people complain about, oh, the footage is always blurry. Here, the footage is not blurry at least when it comes to the craft themselves, right? The craft is not blurry that we see. The craft is very, very clear. Now, right now, we're seeing a light in the sky. This was filmed apparently on 6/9/2008 at 9:03 p.m. I guess Yalman was trying to get ready for his evening's worth of filming these weird craft. And now here's from 6/10/2008, another video. Like this video that I'm using for today's show, which I'm going to be specifically focusing on. Again, this was just a video that was put together by people who know Yalcin Yalman, the Turkey UFO videos. It's been on YouTube. This channel has been on YouTube for a long time. You would think, being that the evidence that it shows, you think it would have many more followers or subscribers, but unfortunately it does not. This should be in the hundreds of millions of views, because this Turkey UFO incident, for sure, it's just another nail in the coffin for the debunkers. I mean, there's just no getting out of this one. I mean, there's people who say it's been debunked over the years, but they've been lying. They're lying. They're lying. I mean, even the show, the gaslighting show on the History Channel called The Proof Is Out There, had to admit that these were most certainly UFOs, although they would not say unequivocally that what we see inside the occupants that they were aliens. They wouldn't go that far, but at least they said that, yeah, these are genuine UFOs, not an illusion, not a cruise ship in the distance. No, these things are in the sky, and the beings operating them most certainly are not. They weren't human beings. I mean, obviously, and we're going to go through some of that too. And also, I'm showing this video up front because I did some things with it. I did some close-ups of this same video that we're watching right now where the hatch is open, and I zoomed in on that area. It took me a little bit to do that, and we'll get a closer look at what that looks like, the movement inside the craft as these beings are doing something. Some people, and like myself, I believe that they could be up to alien abductions, because in some of the still frames that were extracted from it, it looks like there's someone getting attended to who's laying in a prone position, and there's two alien beings hovering over him, along with a praying mantis being. We're going to look at some of those still images later on. But yeah, this is most certainly, I think this is perhaps the most incredible UFO footage ever taken. Okay, now this is a close up. What we're looking right now, this is I have it zoomed in. It's not stabilized yet. I do have a stabilized version coming up and slow motion version, but this is in regular speed, a close up of that first UFO that we saw in the video that I just showed before, but it's close up now. And now here I have it slowed down and also stabilized so we can see it better. Now it's very blurry, right? This first video here, so it's really hard to see. But you could see, at some point, you could make out dark black eyes. There's two beings, one in the middle there of this open hatch, one to the left. There could be a person that looks like might be laying down there in front of them. And so this might be an abduction event occurring as this Yalcin Yalman was filming this. So what this basically tells us all we need to know, right? I mean, if this is in fact, if Yalcin Yalman actually caught an abduction occurring, then this is how it would go, right? I mean, wouldn't they try to find a place to be to do these examinations over the sea, right, away from people's houses, away from where anybody they think could see them, right? Here they are, apparently working on someone. There's actually a figure on the right front. It's a very dark figure, and that it's really hard to see here, but that apparently is a praying mantis alien. It's hard to see here. I will show some still images later on, but this is the close-up that I got, and the camera starts pulling back, and so then I stopped. I didn't zoom in for the rest of it, so I just let this play out. Now we see the craft there hovering. Again, this was from 2008. Then it disappears off the screen. Now, apparently, the craft was moving sometimes when they would film this craft. When Yalcin filmed this craft out over the sea, it was moving around sometimes. But most of the movement you see is because of the camera was moving. He was trying to zoom in on it, and it was hard to keep the camera steady because you're shooting. It could be up to 20 miles away. That's how far away it was. Now here we are with another close up. You could see figures inside this hatch moving around. You could see two heads for sure, one in the middle and one to the left there. And then there's actually a darker figure that's off to the right, and I believe that could be a praying mantis being. Now here it is slowed down, same stuff that we just looked at. It's slowed down and zoomed in. Every now and then you do get the hint that these are alien creatures. You can see two big black eyes on some of them. It's blurry here, of course. Yes, it is. It's, again, you're shooting from miles and miles away using a very good zoom lens along with a doubler on the camera that he was using at the time. But you can see for sure that there's figures inside this thing, right? And that thing that we saw floating, in the far away shots, in the regular shots, you could tell that it's not no normal aircraft of any sort that we have. It's actually some sort of looks like it could be a flying saucer from a certain point of view, from an angle or something to that effect. And now it starts zooming back out here. So then I stopped. Then we're gonna see the regular video as it sees the camera starts getting further away, the picked image. So then I just stopped filming, and then we can see the object there moving around. And then he sometimes, like right here, he showed the moon just to give you an idea of where this is being filmed at. I mean, he's standing on a shore on a beach, and he's zooming out over the Sea of Marmara, and this is the stuff he's picking up. And here we just see a spectacular video of a UFO. This time, no open hatches. Apparently, it does have two lights on it. One at the very right end of it here, and right edge of it, and one somewhat more toward the middle. And he's looking at this thing. Now, you don't see any occupants here, but again, it's the most spectacular footage we have of UFOs. And it needs to be pointed out. Now, this stuff that we're looking at, this is there were other witnesses. It wasn't just him. And this was all of these videos. At first, when people looked at them, they're saying this has to be fake. There's no way this could be real. But then experts from all over the place, Russia, Turkey, Chile, and also Japan looked at this, and they all reached the same exact conclusion that this was not faked. Okay, here we go again. I'm going to zoom in on this one. There we go. As you can see, there's the occupants. You can see it better in this little video than the other ones before. I'm trying to keep it like this was moving all around, so that's why you'll sometimes see the timestamp on there, because I was just trying to stay with the open hatch area, so we can get a better view of it. Now this is in real speed, and now we're about to see it in slow motion and stabilized. And you could most certainly make out figures in there, alien-like figures. Yes, is it blurry? Of course it is. You could see one on the left side of the open hatch area. There's one you could see more clearly than the one to the right, because the one to the right is there, but he's being somewhat blocked by some other darker shadowy thing. And I think that could possibly be one of these praying mantis aliens, the one that the beings that seem to oversee the whole abduction process, the ones that are standing off into the sidelines to barking out the orders to the underlings. So that's what I think we're looking at here. This is again, it's in slow motion. So for people who are listening, we're just basically looking at a zoomed in, stabilized as best as I could a section of a video from this Turkey UFO videos, and we're looking at inside the hatch, and you're seeing movement. That's another thing. You hear some naysayers tell you, well, they don't move. They weren't moving around. Well, they are moving around. You look at this, you can look at it over and over again, and you'll notice that the heads are moving around. And later on, I'll show you evidence, clearer evidence of that later on. But yeah, this is very, very interesting stuff. And now here, I actually did the same one here again, but now it's brightened, slowed down, stabilized, and brightened, so you can see it a little bit better. Yeah, it's really hard to make out that, like, you could see the two aliens there, the top of their heads. The moon was shining, so that's why the top of their heads seemed pretty bright. You have to wonder, what were they doing, in this area? Is that where they go? Is that when they were abducting people in this region of the world, were they, okay, let's just hover out over the sea while we do our examination, while we do our sperm extraction or egg extraction or whatever they're up to, right? Because these are the guys that seem to be the ones responsible for those activities. But again, yeah, I think you'll see like in the front of the hatch to the right, almost to the right, there's like a shadowy thing, and I believe that could be another kind of alien. I think it's probably a praying mantis style alien, while you see the other two guys and they're in front of something's laying down. And why are they doing this? I guess they felt safe in this area, right? I guess that's what is that what's going on here? Okay, they didn't realize that somebody could film them from the shore in Turkey, and obviously that's probably what happened. If they would have known that they were could be seen and filmed, I don't think they would have been hanging out there for 3 years straight, right? 2007, 2008, 2009. Okay, now that was it. Then I pulled it out, and you can still see this is a faraway shot of what we were just looking at. And there's the craft. Amazing, amazing. You can see detail of the craft. You can see ridges. You don't see, it doesn't seem like you see rivets or anything like that. There are bumps and things like that on it, but it doesn't seem like much more than that. Now here again, this is a far away shot. You see a light in the sky. This is 6/9/2008. We did talk about this one earlier. 9:03, just after 9 p.m. he was filming this thing here. This is what it looked like if you see it from your naked eye from a distance. Apparently this is what you'd be looking at, right? This is what you'd be seeing. You just see lights in the sky. Apparently that's what got this guy interested. He figured, okay, you know what, there's something going on out here. I'd like to know what it is. So he goes out and he gets himself a decent camera. Look at this. I mean, this right here looks somewhat similar. It looked like that one we just looked at there, it looked like three circular lights. That was similar to what I saw back in 1995. I saw an object that had 3 circular lights set up in a horizontal fashion on the front of some craft. And that was during a fishing trip. There, here we go. I mean, is that what it is from a far away? It could be. It could be three lights lined up. That's what it does look like. Looks like three lights lined up. Again, folks, this is the most spectacular UFO footage. I think it has to be. What else could possibly outdo what we're seeing here? And so many different instances. It wasn't just a one-off. This guy figured something out, right? He figured out that, yeah, there's something out here over the sea. I'm going to get a good camera and I'm going to video record this stuff, and then I'm going to show the world. And that's what he did. You know, when Dr. Roger Lear was there, he was at a UFO conference. He said they were seeing UFOs all over the place. And then he heard about this guy. He said there's this guy out there filming this stuff. So him and some other UFO researchers went there and actually looked through the camera themselves and saw the object with their own eyes as he was filming it. So it's not just one guy who filmed this stuff and said, here, take a look at this. No, there were other witnesses there, including the late Dr. Roger Lear, as we all know, by the way, is the guy who was removing alien implants and was the subject of Jeremy Corbell's documentary, Patient 17. So Dr. Roger Lear, unfortunately, he died before that movie was completed, and he's no longer with us. And that's a shame, because this guy, I mean, what a researcher he is. I mean, spectacular. He was doing this. He was attending all sorts of conferences, and he got to see this with his own eyes, as he talked about that on numerous podcast shows after the fact. Okay, so we're gonna wrap this video part up, and we're gonna go check out some of a report on this whole topic. Okay, before we talk about the Chilean report on the Turkey UFO videos, I just want to point out this is something that I was able to capture from some of the video that I was just showing you. You can see this face here. This is a mouth right here. This is a big eye here. There's an eye here. You can see the head of the creature. And then I did an enhanced version of it here so you could see it better. See, we could make out, well, it's not really, it's very tough to see. But again, this face that you're seeing right here, it barely see, but it does pop up in some other reports, as we will see. You can see this is where the eye is here. This is a mouth. There's an eye here. This is the top of its head. So that's one of the creatures that I found, a still image from that video I was just showing you. It's not that spectacular, but it is what it is. Okay, now we're going to talk about this Chilean analysis. This was done by Mario Valdés of Santiago, Chile, and this was, I believe, from 2012. 2012 he did this report. And, this is unbelievable to me that this report has been out there for all this time now, 13 years basically. And still, it's not really something that's talked about a lot. You would think that people in the UFO community would be thinking about this a lot more. I mean, this, to me, right, it's like some of these other cases we like talking about, like the Ariel School incident. To me, it's undeniable based on all of the witnesses, over 60 kids that saw UFO and alien creatures. And in this case here, you have experts who confirmed that the videos were authentic. And, similarly to how Scott Roeder confirmed that the videos in the Las Vegas alien incident were authentic as well. So yet we it doesn't seem to matter. Okay, here we have evidence that shows that we're not alone here. We see the UFOs, we see craft that could not be human made, and we see the occupants, and we can tell for sure that they're not humans. But yet we're still not accepting the idea that we're here, that we're not alone. For some reason, I don't get it, but it is what it is. We're still dealing with this. But anyway, this was a very interesting report. Now, Mario Valdés, he summarized the case. He actually went in as a skeptic. He thought he was going to be able to prove that this was all phony. He says, here's what he writes at one point in this report. He says, at first, the videos were analyzed and made public by the Serious UFO organization, directed by the researcher Haktan Akdogan. This case made big news in Turkey and in other countries as well. It also started a great debate between the official members of the Turkish scientific community, specifically the National Council for the Study of Science and Technology, or TÜBİTAK. They got interested in analyzing the original footage with the intention of determining that the video was nothing more than a hoax, gambling on the idea of scale models, toys, or CGI. The original tape was handed to the TÜBİTAK representatives on live TV in their own headquarters. Once the analysis was concluded, they gave an official report from which they took the which we took the following fragment. This is what came from that tube attack report. It says, the objects observed on the images have a structure made of a specific material and are definitely not any kind of CGI animation or in any means a type of special effects used for a simulation in a studio or for video effects. So the conclusion of this report is that the observations are not a model, marquette, or a fraud. And the last part of the report, it states, it's concluded that the objects observed have a physical structure and are made of materials that don't belong to any category of airplanes, helicopters, meteors, Venus, Mars, satellites, artificial lights, Chinese lanterns, etc. And in that etc., I'd like to throw in cruise ships. That's one of the ones you like to you hear from the debunkers. Cruise ships. No. That's not what it is. And that it mostly fits in the category of UFOs or unidentified flying objects and of unknown origin. It says here, other analysis was done by video specialists, image edition, and special effect companies from Japan, Russia, and Turkey, all ending up with the same conclusions. In Chile, I asked Professor Jose Atenas to technically examine the videos, an expert in graphics and video with more than 30 years of experience on television. In his appreciation, Jose Atenas also came to the same conclusions, that the images are authentic. So far, nobody has been able to demonstrate that the recordings are a product of tricks or some type of manipulation. Therefore, the debate is concentrated more over the nature and origin of the objects filmed by Yalcin Yalman. Now, just want to throw out here, too, that, Yalman, debunkers, rather, they like to say that they'll try to show you how this is how they could have done it. This is how it could have been faked, but they never could do it. There's been no debunking of this. I know that people like Corridor Crew claim to have debunked stuff like this. Nobody's debunked this. Nobody's debunked the Turkey UFOs. They don't even like to talk about it, right? Mick West doesn't talk about it. Nobody talks about it because they know it's a losing argument. You can't win this argument when you see the craft, especially the craft, more than anything. I mean, is it hard to see the occupants? Yeah, but you could still see them on occasion, and they're most certainly not human beings. So it's a done deal. This should have proved it to the world. Hey, we're not alone. Look at this. But yet we're still, people are still wondering if it's real or not. It says here, and he writes about his initial feelings. It says, to be honest, at the beginning, my idea was to analyze the videos, hoping to find some elements in them that would be evidence of a possible fraud, taking in count the spectacular manner in which the case was labeled, announced that for the very first time a UFO was videotaped and its occupants precisely inside one of the objects. Not a minor issue for those of us who are obsessed with these themes. It was from skepticism, and why not say it, with a quote of prejudgment, I decided to take some time and check out the fragments of this movie. You could say that my expectations were to find the string of the puppet. But of course, Mario Valdes did not find that a string of the puppet. He found that these were authentic, just like all the other experts. See, this was the other good thing here. You had people who told the truth. I mean, if you were to show this to a debunker, they'll say, well, it can't be true, so it must have been faked, and that's it, period, end of story, because they don't want to believe it out of hand, so that's how they handle it. But these people were professional. They said, we can't see anything where this could have been faked. It's not faked, it's real. That's what they said. And he goes on to say, he says, to make the analysis, I used electronic copies of the original videos given to me by the Turkish investigator Haktan Agdogan, who picked up this case firsthand. I met with Haktan personally to comment about this incident. I was very grateful of him handing me a copy of the original tape with which I could accomplish this work. Now we're just going to scoot forward here a little bit to the beginning of his analysis. He says, as I mentioned before, the objective of this review was to find elements that would reveal a fraud or a setup in the sequences of the video. For this, I realized an exhaustive observation of the images with a considerable close-up and frame-by-frame process. The video segments used in this part correspond to the June 8th, 2008 and May 13th, 2009 dates. So this was some of the stuff that I was just showing on there. He says, and he goes on to say, given that the most spectacular aspects of the case rest on the alleged presence of UFO occupants in the footage, the observation point was centered primarily in the center zone of the object. That's where, according to the witness, there was someone. What has been interpreted as the occupants or crew. In summary, the records of the case indicate that in the center of the object would be found some type of door or window that at times remains open and from where it's possible to see two heads, which would correspond to the slippery occupants. Yes, they were the two heads that you see when we watched that video close up before. You could see two heads for the most part. But there were other things there that were harder to see that Mario Valdes had discovered for himself later on. He says, a short time after reviewing, I could observe a couple of photograms that caused me strangeness and amazement. My first reaction was to say, bingo, there's something. After a second view of the fragment, I was able to isolate a sequence that seems, to say the less, interesting, not just because of the clarity of the takes, but also because the investigation started to turn more complex from the point of view of the different explanation theories possible. In fact, at this point, a series of questions appear that I will comment on. In concrete, the sequence shows with acceptable clarity the moment in which one of the figures, apparently of humanoid characteristics, raises, then looks, and it remains for a fraction of time looking right at the front. The appearance is that of a head and two relatively big and dark eyes. Also, it is possible to interpret what part of the body of the figure is left to see as a body or small torso in relation to the head. So then he has these two images here. One's enhanced a little bit, brightened up so you can see it better. You can see most certainly a face looking back at you there, and there's a face looking at you right there too. And this here could be somebody laying around there, laying down. And right here, where you really can't see that well, there's a dark figure right here. And I believe that is a praying mantis creature. Later on, he says, after checking accountable times this photogram sequence of 5, I got the conviction that the figure in question is not static. By the contrary, it is in permanent movement. In general, with the view looking down, with the exception of this segment in which the figure happens from this position to look fixedly at the front and to then lower the view again. So basically, he was trying to show that these, like some people were trying to say that the occupants weren't moving at all. I don't believe that's the case, just based on the close-up videos that I was just showing earlier. It looks like there was a lot of movement. I know the camera was shaking and everything like that, but you look closely at that stuff for a while, you'll see it looks like their heads are moving. But here he actually shows you that their heads were moving. It's absolutely, these things are moving. And you can see there's one image here, an image here, an image here. He has different images, but I'm not going to show you, talk about those. I'm going to talk about this. He has a little GIF here that goes back. You can see the heads moving there. You can see this head moving on the one creature, for sure. They're moving. They're looking at something. It looks like they're alive and they're moving. That's what he was trying to say here. This is what he's trying to tell you. And if you look at this GIF that he created, yes, it looks like that head is certainly moving by the one in the middle. And he writes, this sequence is produced while the image, that is to say the object, begins to lower in relation to the setting, which in my opinion owes to an ascending movement of the camera. This movement in general produces a distortion of sweep in the image, an artifact of out-of-focus movement. Well then, simultaneously, while this happens, the figure realizes the action to raise the head being opposed to the decrease of the image and annulling the sweep of distortion. That is to say, a synchrony of the image takes place in the zone where both opposite movements are, producing clarity and sharpness in the zone. When the figure returns to lower the head, it does it in the same descending sense of the image, returning to generate the out of focus movement. So we actually have movement inside the craft. These heads that some critics will try to argue were not moving and they were just unmoving figures. Like I guess the accusation is that they were just puppets inside of a little model. No, couldn't have been that. Couldn't have been that. Again, how could it have been when there were various witnesses, including the late Dr. Roger Lear, who looked through the camera and saw the object with his own eyes? That's impossible. And he has more images here, more close-ups of it. But this, later on here, this is what I really like, when he starts talking about the praying mantis creature. He talks about, he answers the questions, are there more than one? In this point of the analysis, it seems important to me to clear the questions about if there are two figures with these characteristics that appear in the videos. For this, I focus the analysis in the left zone. The idea is to find out if it's possible to find in that zone an image similar to the previously exposed. Effectively, in the following, I expose at least one still that can support this idea. Right, yeah. See, this is what we're showing right here, like what he has on here. He has a close-up of this creature to the left. This is the one that I showed you before. That's this thing here. This is the one I showed you before. This is the one that I found on my version of it that I was looking at. This looks to me like the same thing, right, as what we're seeing right here. See, this is what he was. See, he got a different view of it. Okay, he got a different image of it. You could still see the mouth. You could see the wraparound big black eyes, just like what I was showing you there. And that was from the video that I was looking at. And here's another picture of it. He says, here you can appreciate at the left side of the figure exposed before that we find another one of similar characteristics of equal proportion and in a position slightly inclined down. They are clearly visible, the form of the head and both dark eyes of absolutely symmetrical form. Yeah. I mean, obviously these craft were in the sky and obviously something had to be controlling them. And here we are. We're looking at the occupants. And this is what those occupants look like this. Aliens, right? Creatures from probably other worlds. That's my opinion, of course. Uh, and then later, this is the one. This is a series of images I really like. Now, here you can see. Now, this is from the original picture. You can see something. Looks like a person in a prone position laying down. There's a two alien heads that he was talking about. And now you have this other one that's on the other side. And at this point right here, it's looking toward the camera. Here, it's looking more at the person or humanoid in the prone position. I'm assuming it was a human being. I mean, what the hell else would it be? Why else would they be out hovering over the Sea of Marmara, doing an examination of what looks like a human being? I think it's an abduction we're seeing. And then Mario then draws over what he's seeing here. So here's underneath this picture here, there's a picture of this praying mantis that at this point it was looking out at the camera, and you could see it. I mean, in the original picture, you could see clearly that there's this head of this creature looking out toward the camera. In this one, he has it where it looks like it's examining the body that's laying down on the table there. And then underneath that, you have more of this. You still see those two aliens on the behind the being laying in the prone position, but you can still see they're looking toward the camera is the two big black eyes of this praying mantis-like creature, and then he draws over to show you what it looked like, and then he does another one right here. You can see there's the big black eyes staring out at you. See, this creature is different than these other two, it seems, right? The other two were like probably the tall grays, I'm assuming. They're the ones who seem to be do the work, do the examinations once on board. The short grays are the ones that do the menial labor, like bringing the victims on board. And then, of course, the praying mantis creatures, they're the ones overseeing the entire operation. That's what it seems like. And there you can see his drawing of it. He drew over the top of it to give you an idea of what he's seeing, because that's what's there. I mean, it takes a long, I could imagine, I'm planning on looking at these videos a lot over the next couple of years. I think there's a lot to be found in here that we haven't even discovered yet. And this is just the beginning for me. I think that, after all of the work that we did on the Las Vegas case with that video, and I think there's more to be done with that as well. Just let me just point that out. But I think there's other work that needs to be done here. We already had some people talking about this before. The world needs to know about this stuff, folks. I mean, look at this. Now here's an original still from the video. You can see the two aliens. There's the body laying there, probably an abductee, right? And there's the side view, a profile of this praying mantis creature, and then he did the drawing underneath it. There's no question, folks. Right, so we see the in these series of videos, the Turkey UFO videos. What's very interesting about it is we see the craft. I mean, clearer than probably any other videos, and at length too. We're seeing them for a long period of time, right? And now, but with this closer examination, that's over. This report again, it's 13 years ago. You think the world, I mean, this should have been like the biggest story. This is the biggest story of all time that we're just pretending doesn't mean anything, right? And now we even have more evidence with the Las Vegas case. You take that with this and the Ariel School and so many other cases. I mean, it's over. I mean, what are we doing here? We're just like playing games with each other, acting stupid. Let's see what else he says. About these stills above here. I want to see. He says, in these stills, I show the location of the figure in the top part, and the low one, my interpretation is in drawing, stocks in the study of the videos and the isolated frames. Yes, I thought he did a really good job with trying to show this stuff. And this is similar to some of the things that we've been trying to do with the Las Vegas evidence. That's what some of the same kind of things. I think that he was able to really illustrate this clearly, which good for him. I can't draw that well. Let me just say that. But he basically outlined what he's seeing here. But he's most certainly gifted in artistry, at least a little bit. he goes on to say about that. He says, the drawings of my authorship interpret what appears in the videos. They are a mixture between the information gathered from the analysis of the form and movement of the figures and the stills. Though the thinnest details do not appear clearly in these captures, they have been gathered from the information obtained after analyzing the totality of the videos. In some segments and stills, some details appear with major clarity, and in other fragments there are different. There are elements that are rescued. On having assembled all the details, it is possible to come to the conclusion that the drawings show. For example, in these stills, the drawings are based more than anything on the location of the head, the eyes, and the torso, and I have overlaid them over the frozen frames. The detail of the arms, on the other hand, has obtained of the observation of the videos and the movement, which turns out to be very complex of exhibiting this way. And yeah, this was a strange image here. It looked like more of a person standing here in this figure here, in this image, the still image. And then there was my favorite images. I'll show you that. There's some more stuff he has. Everybody should check this out. I mean, everybody should. I mean, if you're interested in this subject and you don't know about the Turkey UFO incident, you really should check this out. Like, look at this series of images. This is a close-up. He got some good stuff. I mean, this takes time and effort to get these images. But you could see here in this still image, you can see the two heads of the aliens, and you can see this person in a prone position, and he gets a close-up views of this, and it does it. This looks like it could be a human being laying there. And then you go scroll down here, and then he does the drawing over it to show you what he's seeing here. Yeah, that's what it could be. It could be a person. Yalcin Yalman might have actually captured one or more alien abduction incidents on video. And so all these people who are saying they've been abducted by aliens over the years, here, this shows it. This proves it. We know, right, that the videos were real. We know that they weren't faked, right? We have experts from 4 different countries, right, talking about that, telling us that they looked at it. This is not fake. And we're looking at these still images, and you can see, like here's another image with movement, another GIF with movement. You can see that there's these creatures are moving. So, you know, they're not just little... Again, how could it have been faked? How could it have been faked when there were other witnesses there? And of course, this is like one of my favorite images, where he has the original image on the top, where you can see two beings and a person laying in a prone position and a praying mantis looking out toward the camera. Then he has his original drawing of it. Then he overlaid his drawing onto the original, and this is the bottom one is what you get there. You see it. So... again, this is just going to be, I'm going to be talking about this a lot more as time goes on, folks. I think it's an important thing that we should be focused on. I like talking about the real evidence, the stuff that you can't, there's no way anybody could dismiss it. There's no dismissing the Turkey UFO incident. You see it with your own eyes. You see the craft. You see the beings. There's no question about it. There were occupants in this thing. They weren't members of the Love Boat on some cruise ship. No, it's no illusion. It wasn't a hoax. You have experts from 4 different countries telling you it's not a hoax, that it was real and it was anomalous, and that's what they said. And how come we're not talking about this case more? How come? I know that a lot of podcasters will bring it up here and there, and I'm one of the ones. I talk about it every now and then. I should be talking about it more. This, the Vegas case, the Ariel School incident, the ones where it's undeniable, right? The ones that should tell anybody, okay, there's something here with us. We're not alone. This is what we should be focusing on, the absolute proof. All of this together, when you take this, right, what we're talking about today, what we're talking about with Las Vegas, what we're talking about with Ariel School, with what we're talking about with Westall School, what we're talking about with the Phoenix Lights, what we're talking about with Stephenville, Texas, all of this together, all of the reports of people getting abducted over the years. And yet, for some reason, the scientific community still, to this day, as a whole, fails to admit that there's a non-human intelligence here with us right now, up to something. And that needs to change. That needs to change. If you're one of these scientists who are still believing that there's no evidence, there's not enough evidence, guess what? You're stupid. You're stupid. Anyway, I just want to say this. I want to say thank you all for joining me today. Until next time.